die. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today I've got another video that Gamgoon and I had done on Saturday. What was the date on Saturday? Maybe the 22nd of August, who knows. Anyway, so this was another video that I had recorded while Gamgoon was doing his stream. So we can see here that we are on fault line. I am in my Myōkō and Gamgoon is in his Pensacola. If you recall from yesterday's video, I had mentioned that when we were doing these stream videos, it seemed that every battle we got into, either our team was heavy on destroyers or the enemy team was heavy on destroyers. You can see right up at the top the different classes of ships that comprise the enemy team, and the majority of them are destroyers, so this was another one of those matches. Now, given that you know, there's so many destroyers on the enemy team, and when I'm in my Myōkō, I would normally load up my armor piercing right away. But given that there's so many destroyers on the enemy team, I'm confident that the first ship I'm going to run into and be able to put shots into will be a destroyer. So I'm keeping my high explosive loaded. There's no point in getting the armor piercing going at this time. So just to give you a sense of what Gamgoon and I here were doing, Gamgoon, you can see, did start over on the east side. I started relatively in the middle of the map, so when we were planning this out, Gamgoon said that he was going to go up the little destroyer alley there on the east side, kind of peek into it, see what he sees, and then maybe turn around and get out of there if it was too dangerous. And then what I was going to do was I was also going to head over to the east side, but instead of going into Destroyer Alley, I was going to go just to the port of those two large islands with the channel that runs in between them. I was going to keep to the port side of those islands while Gamgoon went up the starboard side. That way, my hope and our hope was that we could flush out any enemy destroyers that might be in there and kill them off right away. Because with this many enemy destroyers in the match, you really want to try to get rid of these destroyers as quick as possible. I mean, one destroyer working alone is a big enough threat, depending where he is and how far away he is from you and all that. But one destroyer working alone is a fairly big threat, and I'm sure almost everyone will agree. But if you have 2 or 3 destroyers working as a group, it's just the biggest threat you're going to encounter on the battlefield. In my opinion, anyway, I would say that those 2 or 3 destroyers working together in a group, maybe they're all in TeamSpeak, they're all in a division, goes without saying, but with all of them there, that group of destroyers working together is a bigger threat than any aircraft carrier or any battleship on the map, assuming that those equivalent enemy ships are working solo, so that they don't have anyone else that they're working with. So, I mean, given all that, yeah, we got to take out these destroyers right away. As you can see, I do see some targets popping up. They're relatively far away from me, and I'm not willing to veer off and go after them, as there's a destroyer that popped up right there. And plus, I am supporting Gamgoon in this situation here, so I'm not just going to abandon him and leave him to deal with whatever ships might happen to pop up in front of him. So no, we see the destroyer. Gamgoon tells me about the destroyer here, and he's telling me be careful, and rightly so, because they could have torpedoes coming just around the corner and I might not realize it. So alright, we're going to keep an eye on that guy. Gamgoon is going to continue to push up, because if you notice, he only did come across the one destroyer. I'm getting myself into position to circle around these destroyers, essentially outflank them, so that together Gamgoon and I can start putting shots into the destroyers and take them out. At this time, we think there is only the one destroyer. Excuse me. Shortly, there will actually be 2. So right now, we see the Mitsuki, and then there's the Nicholas. So we have 2 destroyers that went this way, and we're going to need to take them down as soon as possible. Now I'm pretty close to these destroyers, and so I was fairly clenched, especially after that Mitsuki launched his first torp spread. I love my Myoko, I'm sure you all know that. You know, one of my favorite ships in the game, and you know, it's a cruiser, so my favorite class. My only issue with the Myoko is my ship turns a lot faster than my guns. So when I'm turning, I need to keep that in mind. So you can see, first I was shooting at the Mitsuki because my turrets were lined up with him, but I had to turn to avoid that torpedo strike, which then brought the Nicholas to bear on my guns. So I then went ahead, took out the Nicholas. Nicholas is gone, fantastic. Mitsuki is still here. Still a bit of a concern. You can see I'm going to put some shots into him, but Gamgoon finishes him off, and that was great. There was a Fubuki around here as well, so that's why I shot off those torpedoes. Just maybe area denial, you know, denying him use of that channel so he can't come up behind us and torp us. But I was saying to Gamgoon at this time, like, you know, where did that Fubuki go? He's definitely a big threat for us, but he doesn't show up for the rest of the map. For the rest of the match, I don't know. I don't know where he went. You can see throughout the match, I do check the team list to see if he's even still alive. He's still there. I'm not sure where he went. You know, he most likely went over to the west side, right? And is trying to push down our cap. But whatever, he's not here now. So Gamgoon and I have met up. We've cleared out the east side. It wasn't hard. There were only 2 destroyers. We've killed them both. So hooray for us. And now we're going to be pushing into their cap. So it's really, really early in the game here. You can see the enemy team has lost 2 destroyers. We've lost 1. There's still a whole bunch of time left on the encounter. But because the enemy team only had those 2 destroyers on this side of the map, on fault line, we were easily able to push through. And just because it's a bit of a lull in battle here, I also wanted to mention I've been experimenting with, instead of going on the west side like everyone else does, especially when I'm in a battleship, instead of going on the west side like everyone else, I've actually been going on the east side now. I was playing with a clanmate of mine, Beerman, and he was talking about it, and we tried it, and it just kept working for us. So even in my cruiser, you can see I did it today as well, and it's working out very nicely. Usually, on this map especially, you'll find that the enemy team is all going to go to the west side. Some might hang around the middle to protect that flank of the west side, but the east side usually is fairly bare. I say usually, right? And I'm saying it loosely because obviously anything can happen. But this has been my experience playing the fault line for you know, almost, well, more than 6 months now. I think we're, you know, almost done the 8th month, going into the 9th month, because I've been playing ships since January of this year, when it was still in the closed alpha weekend tests. So anyway, Thotgor's there. I do have my armor piercing loaded up. I'm putting shots into the Thotgor. I got a nice citadel shot there from the Thotgor. You can see the Thotgor did send off some torpedoes, and I am very concerned that I'm going to hit one. I even told Gamgoon I'm going to get one, but nice torp dodge there, so not too bad at all. We still need to take out this Thotgor, sorry. he's still a pretty big threat to us at this time, because you can see he can keep pumping in torpedoes. I mean, he can switch around, get some more torpedoes off, so we want to do something, and my shots that I've been putting into haven't been doing a whole lot of damage at this time. I'm trying to zero in on his citadels here, so I've got another volley going out, and I found the citadels. In fact, I found 3 of them, and I managed to take out his engines. I really should have lined up my shots better here, knowing that I took out his engines. You can see I'm still firing as if he was going at full speed. Luckily, I've got Gamgoon right next to me, so Gamgoon says, "No, I got him, don't worry about it." So awesome, Gamgoon. Good job. Thotgor is now gone. So you can see at this point in the battle, Gamgoon and I are capping the enemy base. But we have a choice here. The choice is, are we going to stay and cap this base and have to defend against all these enemies that are popping up, or are we going to retreat and go back to the cruiser and battleship that's behind us from on the east side, meet up with them, and then push back into the base? So Gamgoon and I are talking about this, and we decide, no, we're meeting up at the battleship and the cruiser. We're not going to be staying here to try and take this base ourselves. Too many enemies, we will probably die. I was fortunate in that there was that island there right behind me, so the island is covering my turn the whole way, so enemies can't shoot at me. Unfortunately, Gamgoon has this Mahan here, and he is just pumping shots into him. You can see it there. I'm trying to swing my turrets around to get this guy to save Gamgoon, but ultimately I just can't do it. The Mahan, you can see him there. By the time my turrets get around, he goes behind that rock, and it's gone. So I've got, I believe it's a Cleveland I'm lining up there with my torpedoes, so I shoot off them, and then we have a Myōkō-class pop up here. This Myōkō-class suddenly became the biggest issue for us, so I'm going to start putting shots into him right away. Gamgoon is down to maybe a quarter health remaining, but he is on fire. And you can see, based on where the island is behind me, I'm now swinging out, hoping that the enemies will start firing at me. And Gamgoon is swinging in. You can see it here. He's swinging in behind me, trying to use this island as cover to preserve whatever life he has left and hopefully to stay in the battle. That was the plan anyway. So we still have Myōkō-class there, still putting shots into him. You can see our cruiser and our battleship that we were trying to meet up with is now fairly close to us and providing supporting fire to us. So we don't need to necessarily retreat or fall back at this time because our allies are now with us. So, you know, at this point it's not necessarily a matter of trying to take and hold the cap. It's just simply we got to get rid of these enemies here because we're not going to be able to cap while these enemies are here. I got a nice shot into that Cleveland. We still have this enemy destroyer here in front of us, but we still need to do something about this guy. It's the Mahan again. He's, you know, showing his face, so got to do something. So I keep putting shots into him as best I can. He's going fast, I'm going fast. I'm trying to maneuver, so it's fairly hard to actually do that. We've got more torpedoes coming in. This is torpedoes the Mahan had sent off, but he was out of my range. I wasn't concerned about his torpedoes, so no big deal. Right here at this point is where I thought I was going to die. You can see I took a salvo and they took out my engines, or rather my steering, sorry. And my repairs on cooldown because I had to repair the damage previous to this. So I figure I'm dead. But it's not meant to be. Piece of advice for anyone who does drive a Myōkō or a similar Japanese cruiser, in that the turrets turn a lot slower than what your ship can turn, and you're in this situation with your steering gone. So you can see I'm stuck in a hard turn to port. If I were to stay at full speed, I would just do circles. My turrets would never be able to catch up, and I would never be able to fire upon the enemy. So what I do is I reduce my throttle, I continue my turn to port, but now my turrets can keep up, so I can still fire into the enemies. See, I was able to kill that Cleveland. Sure, he was on low health and burning, but I got him, finished him off. I put some shots into the Mahan, but now I killed the Mahan, so that was great. And now I got this Furutaka here in front of me. So we need to do something about this guy because, you know, I'm still freaked out at this point. I can't do anything. And I've got all these enemies around me. Granted, the majority of them are battleships and they're further behind, or they're behind that island, so they can't directly fire at me right now. But I'm not thinking about right now. I'm thinking about, you know, in 17 seconds time from now, where the hell are they going to be, and am I going to be, like, in their sight? So that's what I'm freaking out about. So finally, I get to repair my steering. Excellent. But I still have this Furutaka here in front of me. He's right in my face. I know exactly what he's doing. He's charging me so he can shoot some torpedoes. That is evident. So I'm in a big turn here. I'm not going to be able to fire my gun, so I have torpedoes, so I'm getting my torpedoes ready. I shoot one spread to the port, one spread to the starboard, so that either way the Furutaka decides to go, I'm going to hit him. So there, I got him with my 2 torpedoes. Not too bad at all. But I still have to dodge these torpedoes he managed to shoot off. And, oh man. That was so close. I could tell you, I could see it all in my mind. I was convinced I was going to take that one of those torpedoes, it was going to knock out my steering, I was going to flood, and I was going to die. My repair is on cooldown, there would have been nothing in the world that I could do, but it just, somehow, I managed to dodge it. You know, that, like I say, Myoko is an amazing, amazing, amazing cruiser. If you don't have one, get one. You will not regret it. So now at this point in the battle, we only have 3 enemy battleships remaining. We've got the Congo off in the distance. We've got the Colorado off in the distance. I've got the Congo that I'm shooting at, and we've got a New Mexico right over there behind the island. The biggest threat here is the Congo, because he's the only one who's actually going to be able to shoot at me. Similar situation for the majority of our team, actually. They're all shooting at the Congo because the Congo is the biggest threat right now. The New Mexico's behind an island. He can't shoot at anyone in cap, and the Colorado is out of position. He's not able to put fire into us because he's so far away, and even if we are in his range, the Colorado is a terrible ship, and he's probably going to miss us anyway, so I'm not concerned about that guy at all. So we managed to take out the Congo. That is awesome. Now the New Mexico. So the New Mexico, while we're doing all that, has come out from behind the island. So now he's the biggest threat between the New Mexico and the Congo. So we're going to start putting fire into the New Mexico, and we want to keep an eye on the Congo at this point. I know there's only 2 enemy ships left, but just like, I mean, at this point of the battle, I was saying to Gamgoon, you know, only 2 battleships left, but still a big threat. And Gamgoon agreed. He's like, yeah, you know, Citadels are OP, which they are. I mean, they're amazing. I love getting them, but all this guy has to do, either one of these ships have to do, is get some nice Citadels on me or my allies, and that's going to take us out. So we can't let this take place. We got to do something about it. So that's why firing into the New Mexico as much as I possibly can. But I'm also getting behind the island. I want to use it as cover. My idea was to go behind the island, kind of slingshot around it, and maybe get close enough to do a torp run. That would have been, you know, the ultimate plan as to what I wanted to do. Where I'm turned right now, my only shot is going to be on the Colorado. So we're lining up my guns. I'm going to try and get a shot in on him as he comes around the island here. So there he is. Shots go in. They do a bit of damage. It's not too bad. I find it easier to kill a Colorado than it is in New Mexico, actually. See my ally, Pensacola? Oh, that was an awesome ram. I mean, and it was the right move to do. If you saw that, Pensacola had near to no health left, right next to the Colorado. The Colorado secondary batteries probably would have finished him off, so yeah, go for the ram. Why not? So we've won the battle. It was a great battle overall. This is 2 times, so it's during the 2 times event, so that's why you see 7,000 experience there. There was my first battle in this for the day, but not a bad overall result at all. I was very happy with the results here. Overall, I am top of the team. The enemy team, they didn't really show up. They just weren't able to do it. We can see the overall numbers here in terms of damage done, and then there was some friendly fire, but more importantly, my credits earned. That was what I was really happy with, because, you know, I'm saving up for some higher tier ships. So that'll do it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around. Hopefully you took something away from the video, some simple strategies to use on any map. You know, making use of cover is really the biggest thing here. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.